essentially went to the father, went to a U.S. Marshal, who was fantastic, by the way, and the person was involved with law enforcement, but was a person of faith, a minister, and brought him to a U.S. Marshal, who was fantastic, and the father convinced the son, this is it. And again, I'm always subject to be corrected, but you know, I'm just giving you, based on what I'm hearing, they'll give you a much more active. I just heard about it 5 minutes before I walked in. As I'm walking in, they said, looking real good. They have the person that they wanted. So you have breaking news, don't you? Huh?
Thank you.
Always have.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Great America Show. Thank you so much for spending part of your day, your night, your evening with us. Happy Friday, folks. The great news of the evening, as you heard, that was President Trump earlier this morning. He stopped by Fox News to have an appearance on Fox and Friends while he was in New York, attending the New York Yankees game last night to commemorate the 24th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon in Shakersville, Pennsylvania. I guess it is incumbent upon us to start with the story tonight, as it's something we all watched. 36 hours. We watched a manhunt happen for this cold-blooded killer who murdered Charlie Kirk for absolutely, we don't know any reason yet as why he did it. I mean, there's no justification for something like that to ever happen to anybody. Right wing, left wing, doesn't matter. There's no justification to take someone's life in cold blood for absolutely no reason. And that's exactly what we have. Tonight we have to share with you the probable cause affidavit, and a shout out to all the people who made this happen, who got this man captured alive. And I say alive, and some people, I think, get angry over that. But I think it's important to take these cowards, these soulless, lifeless, heartless, mindless people in alive so they could spend the rest of their lives behind bars, or hopefully get the death penalty, where they sit there for 10 or 15 years and wait, knowing they're going to the chair, or they're whatever method they use, that they have what's coming to them for the pain that they inflict on society, the pain they inflict on people's families. Charlie's wife, 2 kids will grow up without a father, not know what it's like to have a father because of somebody's selfishness. So Tyler Robinson, 22-year-old from Washington, captured earlier this morning, Friday morning, booked on state charges. Federal charges will likely be filed, we're told, by the Department of Justice later. We're not going to go through the whole scenario in the probable cause affidavit on how Charlie was shot. I think the horror and horrificness of it all, we've been talking about it the last 3 days. I don't think anybody wants to relive it. But per the probable cause affidavit, authorities tracked Robinson, 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, walking across the grassy area of campus around 11:50, approximately 23 minutes before he assassinated Kirk. He was captured on video surveillance running across the rooftop on the building at 12:23, seconds after he had shot Kirk. A family member of Tyler Robinson reached out to police officers and confronted him, and Utah authorities released new photos of the suspect on Thursday night. As you guys can see them there, those are the ones that were shared to us via the FBI and Utah State Police. According to the New York Post, Tyler Robinson threatened to take his own life rather than to turn himself in. And, what would you expect from a coward like this person? To kill themselves. They take the easy way out. They commit their crimes like cowards, and then they turn the gun on themselves and they take the easy way out. Earlier Friday, conservative podcast host Steven Crowder obtained leaked internal documents from the Utah State County's office that showed this. So he was set to take his own life. He wanted to kill himself. The thing that I think is so surprising, and it hasn't been exactly reported on, and I did my own diligence on this to try to get to the bottom, because I didn't see it reported anywhere, was where was he arrested? Where was this man taken into custody? And it appears he was taken into custody in his own house, or turned in from his parents from his own house in Washington County, Utah. Now I'm going to pull up a map here to show you just how far Provo, Utah is, where UVU was, to where he turned himself in, because I think this is telling on how this man got so far while the police were looking for him. Let's pull this up here so you folks can all see with me the distances that this cold-blooded killer drove to get back. So here's Provo, Utah, where he committed the crime, right over here. He then took his Dodge Challenger and drove from Provo all the way down south to almost the border of Arizona, around St. George, Utah, right on the border of St. George, Utah and Arizona. Now, if we put in directions from Provo to St. George, I think it's probably pretty far. So you've got a 3-hour and 30-minute drive from Provo to where he was captured in St. George or around that area, Washington County, Utah. So I want to preface this with thank God for the FBI and the local law enforcement officers there on the ground. But if we think, how did he really get captured? How did he really get caught? How did we get video surveillance of him? Well, you got the video surveillance partly from the school, a private organization, a private institute, or a state school, whatever. Not the federal government. You got Ring doorbell cameras from citizens who lived in the neighborhood. You had his friends, his college roommate, turn him in to the FBI, where they went to his room and they met with his roommate. And apparently this guy, Tyler Robinson, was sending Discord messages. Now, Discord is an app on your phone like WhatsApp or a text messaging site used by gamers. Sending messages to his roommate about, one, retrieving the gun, that it was in the woods wrapped in a towel. We then find out that the FBI or state police retrieved that gun. They didn't tell us immediately how they were tipped off by it. Came out through this after the fact. We then find out about certain images he was saying about bullet casings and sending pictures of bullet casings. We're going to get to that in a moment, about what was written on the casings of these bullets to show how sick this, I don't even call him a human being. I don't know what we call him. Just a monster. About some of the messages that he had written on those bullet casings. So we find out that now from this Discord chat with his roommate. We then get this man 33 hours later, but it wasn't to the work of the state police or the FBI. It was to this man's father and pastor, who happened to be, I believe, a U.S. Marshal as well, who got him to not kill himself and agreed to turn himself in. So the parents in this situation, I think, did the right thing. The pastor absolutely did the right thing. But you look at it and you say, well, where did the federal government go right on this? How did they get him? And I don't want to discount the FBI and I don't want to discount the state police. But time and time again, to me at least, it seems like our FBI and our state and local law enforcements are not doing the jobs that they once did. The jobs they once did to track down mobsters and cold-blooded killers. It seems now the work is solely reliant on the work of the American people. And I just, I ask myself these questions, daily. How and why did we get to this way? How and why did we get to a time and a place where catching criminals, now I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's an excellent thing that everyone can contribute to it. But how and when did we get to a time and place where it's incumbent upon citizens to become federal FBI agents, to become local law enforcement? And it's something that I quite honestly, I don't have the answer to. I don't know the answer. But I just wonder why and how we've gotten to this point. Moving on to, and by the way, I don't want to discount the state police. I don't want to discount the Utah police. I don't want to discount the FBI, because it takes a certain amount of courage to go into these situations. When you've got a man who doesn't think twice about shooting someone in broad daylight, cold-blooded. So it takes a certain kind of courage and a certain kind of soul and grit to go in and do things like this. And it brings us to, after catching this man, they were staged outside of his house. And we'll bring that up for you. They were staged outside his house, and they, this was yesterday, rapid developments. They were staged outside of his house, and everyone was told to leave the scene immediately. Nobody knows why. The federal agencies, the state agencies, nobody told them why. Everyone was told to evacuate the area immediately, and still to this second, we don't know. I've got that up for you here. Police evacuate area around Kirk's assassin's home after receiving, quote, concerning information. Authorities evacuated the area around Kirk's assassin Tyler Robinson's family home in Utah as the FBI conducted a raid after receiving, quote, concerning information. So on one hand, you want the public's help. On one hand, you want American citizens and neighbors to partake in your investigations and, in some cases, solve them for you. But on other hands, you don't want to let the public know when something is going on like this. To me, it seems like a double standard. They go on, Tyler Robinson was taken to custody Friday morning. His father confronted him about the murder. Robinson's father is a veteran police officer, confronted him after Utah authorities released new photos of the suspect on Thursday. A police canine was seen at the Robinson's family home after the neighbors and reporters were told to step away from the area. Quote, moments ago, police told us we had to evacuate that area, that they got some type of concerning information basically in front of or around the family home. Not sure what concerning information it was, but there's also a chopper above. Authorities told us we had to clear the area, according to a Fox News report. We still don't know what exactly that information was. It would be nice, I believe, for the FBI, for the state police, to keep us in the loop on what exactly is going on, just as you had people who turned this man in. Let's move on to talk about the bullet casings that were found in the gun, in the chambered gun that was retrieved, and the one that was on the floor, because I think this paints a bigger picture of just who this kid was and how sick he was. Sad, and there's no other way, I think, to put it. I think we've got it up here on the screen. Bullet casings found near the bolt-action rifle that officials say was used to kill Charlie Kirk were engraved with messages suggesting the shooter was familiar with online video gaming, role play, and anti-fascist symbolism. Utah Governor Spencer Cox described the messages at a news conference on Friday, September 12th, after announcing the arrest of Tyler Robinson, 22-year-old. Among the messages were notices, bulges of OWO, an Italian phrase stemming from the song Bella Ciao, as well as a reference to a PC online game, Helldrivers 2. Here's what the meanings mean. OWO references an emoticon used with an online furry roleplay community to portray a cute surprise face, according to knowyourmeme.com. It's similar to an emoji, but instead of a small image to represent an emoji, it's keyboard characters. Its roots trace back to a 2013 when DeviantArt user posted a photo of a fan fiction cover featuring furry characters, writing OWO. What is this I'm working on? Now, for those of you who don't know what furries are, and don't feel bad if you know what furries are, because it's an extremely weird phenomenon that's going on. It's parents who allow their kids to act as if they are animals, and it's a real thing. Dogs, cats, rabbits, they actually go to school. There was actually a lawsuit, I believe it was last year in New Jersey, where a teacher was sued because they weren't allowing a student to put a litter box in the back of the classroom. No, it wasn't for the student's pet kitten or cat to come to the bathroom. It was for the student to use because he believed or she believed they were a cat. That's what a furry is. The other engraving, notices, bulges, OWO. What is this? That was the one we just discussed. Hey, fascist. Another phrase on the cartilage read, hey, fascists, catch. The phrase, Cox said, most clearly showed the gunman's intent, adding, I think that speaks for itself. They go on to tell you what a fascist is, as if we don't know. We haven't heard people on the right called it now for the last 10 years, as the media has stoked this fire and this enragement in people. What does Bella Ciao mean? Oh, Bella Ciao, Bella Ciao, Bella Ciao, Ciao, Ciao was inscribed on one of the unfired bullet casings recovered at the scene, said Cox. The Italian words Bella Ciao translate to English words, goodbye, beautiful. It's an apparent reference to Bella Ciao, an Italian song dedicated to resistance fighters against the Nazi troops occupying the country during World War II. Tells you how deep this guy is. Up arrow, right arrow, and 3 down arrow symbols, as the governor referred to it, is a pattern that would be recognized by players of Helldivers 2. It's a sequence used on players' remote control to unleash stratum gems and input a code reference to input codes for Eagle 500K bomb in a video game. I guess a very big video game kid. Helldivers 2 is a 2024 video game developed by Arrowhead. Opponents published by Sony. It's a third-person shooter game that can be played on Windows PC or PlayStation 5 console. And then on the last bullet casing, one of the casings had engraved, quote, "If you're reading this, you are gay, LMAO." LMAO stands for, it's an acronym, I guess a millennial or zillennial acronym for laughing my ass off. So it's apparent that this kid was a deviant, very malicious person. And it doesn't seem stupid by any stretch of the imagination. We're going to take a quick break. And on the other side of this, I want to try to delve into just why. Why do this? There's so much more to come here on the other side of the Great America Show, folks. Please stay with us. We're live tonight, so let us know where you're tuned in from. We'll try to get to your shout-outs and your questions throughout the show. Please stay with us. We're coming right back on the Great America Show. Much more to come, folks.
This past year has been one of the hardest in MyPillow's history. It's because of you that we're making it through. My employees and I want to thank you for your continued support by extending our wholesale prices on classic MyPillows. Get standard classic MyPillows only $14.98. I can't believe I'm even saying that. Only $14.98. But it gets even better. Upgrade to a queen size MyPillow for just $18.98. King size only $1 more. Get my body pillows $29.98 and multi-use MyPillows for only $9.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of these wholesale prices, including my standard size MyPillow, originally $49.98, now only $14.98. Queens $18.98, Kings only $1 more. Not only that, order $75 or more, ship absolutely free. From all of us here at MyPillow, thanks America!
Thanks, everybody, for staying with us on this episode of the Great America Show. As I said, we're live tonight, so any comments, questions, concerns, feel free to put them in the chat, and we will try to get to them. We're going to do that before we move on here and continue to discuss this. It's heartbreaking. I got to be honest with you. I knew Charlie pretty well. I worked with him over the years, bringing him on Lou's show and through various events. I wasn't best friends with him, but I conversed with him pretty frequently. And, it's just sad to see that there's such sick people in this world. If you caught my live stream the other night with Mark Mitchell, I think we relayed this is not going to silence any of us. And by this psychopath doing this, it puts a target on all of our backs, puts a target on the front of our heads, that any moment at any place, some psychopath can come out and do something heinous like that. And, it doesn't instill fear in me particularly. And it, speaking of Mark, it didn't instill fear with him, but it's just sad that we have to live our lives like this. It's sad that we come out here and we try to do an honest job at bringing you guys the news, at having an opinion on something like we're all allowed to have. This is America, the greatest country in the world. But it's sad that we have to worry that someone's following us, that we now have to double check behind us. I go to a lot of public events. I travel a lot. And I'm pretty public about it here on the show with, everyone who's tuned in. Now, almost every single day of my adult life, I've carried a gun just on the sheer worriance of someone doing something. But we shouldn't have to live our lives like that. We shouldn't have to worry as media personality, as podcasters, whatever you want to call us, that we have to look behind our shoulders because there's some psychopath who has been driven off the cliff by Reddit or 4chan or an online forum or the mainstream media. It's what's, my opinion, it's provoked it. We're going to get into in just a moment this guy's background and his family. And it seems on the basis of it right now, he came from a very normal home. 2 working parents, a mother, it seemed, that loved him based on her Facebook posting. So what drives a person? Most of the time you make the argument that they came from a broken family. But by all early accounts, it doesn't seem like that was the case. So what drives these people to have such anger and hate in their blood? And the only answer I can come up with is these online forums like Reddit, these online forums like 4chan, where sick people go on and discuss. Mark Mitchell had sent me one today that I had never seen before. I mean, it is the absolute craziest thing in the world. It's a subreddit channel, and it's called Ask Transgender. And you go on this Reddit app, and you can ask other people who are transgender what they're feeling, how they're feeling, what sort of meds they're on. I'll just read for you the first one that pops up. Are boobs supposed to hurt and feel sore in 1 month on HRT? HRT is a hormone replacement therapy. And do they stop hurting? The next, I'm 99 sure my boyfriend is an egg. What should I do? How long is an acceptable amount of time for an HRT doc to not get back to me about my messages? Came out as trans to my parents and they kicked me out of the house. So it's on like, and this is 451,000 visitors per week. It's online forums like that. Now, I don't know how you moderate stuff like this. I have to believe the FBI and ATF and other agencies moderate these things and look out. But as we've seen in the past, what good work has the FBI done that we could recount in the last 10 years? Write in the chat if you could think of something. So we've got to rely on these guys who couldn't catch Brian Kohlberger in Idaho for 2 months, who needed the public's help, and thank God, by the grace of God, a pastor and a father who cared about truth, justice, and the American way to turn in this kid. I mean, just what if this kid's parents and his father and his pastor were total shitheads and said, we'll help you escape? But that's the point we've got to. So I want to get to some of your questions, folks. Sorry, I don't mean to rant, but it's really taken a toll on me the last 3 days, this entire situation. I mean, it keeps me up at night thinking about watching that video of what happened to this man. And I think probably a lot of you guys here, it's very sad and sickening. Kelly Song, thank you for tuning in. As always, I thank God for the assassin's honest father. Yes, we all do. As you know, I just went through my monologue there for this. I do feel for the family and thank them for having the courage and strength to do the right thing. Yeah, I think it probably weighs on you having to do something like that. Over on Facebook, we've got a long one. I'm going to try to read this. My vision isn't the best. It seems to me this young man had issues. He only made it one semester at Utah State despite having a $32,000 scholarship. Now attending a tech school, an electrician apprenticeship program. Something seems as if it wasn't right with him. Seems to lack maturity, determination, and confidence. Shot someone with no one around like a coward. I really feel bad for his mom and dad. Such a senseless act. Yeah, I think it does. Pending his parents had nothing to do with this, of course. It does put his family in a very tough situation. And we're going to get to just how good of a student this kid was, which I'm not applauding him by any stretch of the imagination. It just ties back to, how does somebody like this do what he did? Casino Doctor, thanks as always for tuning in. I appreciate it. Did Cash pass off the press conference to the governor, or is that normal? It didn't look good. I was wondering that too last night as I was begrudgingly watching Sean Hannity, who's one of the worst news hosts on Fox News, doesn't shut up and give his guests a second to speak. I was actually texting with one of them before the show who was on his show, and they relayed the same message to me. I don't know. I found it very surprising last night that the governor, who I think has been doing a very good job in this situation, a Republican governor, at relaying the message to us about, what happened and what went on. But I found it very surprising that Cash didn't come out in front of that camera. You heard a lot of hats on the back last night. This agency's doing a great job, and this agency's doing a great job, and this guy's doing a really good job, and that. We don't care who's doing a good job. We want you to catch this scumbag. This was last night. I don't want to hear this guy's doing really good. There's no participation trophies when people's lives are on the line. When a man who was just brutally assassinated in front of his wife. We don't care who's doing a good job. Catch the perpetrators. Let's see. Look how long it took them to get Mohammed, the guy who was driving around shooting people out of the trunk of his car and the rifle in D.C. Took weeks and weeks and weeks. It was his ex-wife who provided them the tips that they much needed. I remember that one very well. I was a little bit younger at the time, but perfect point. Perfect point. America failed Charlie. Prayers for his family. God bless them. Oh, my Charlie little babies. I'm sorry, Charlie. May you rest in peace, Charlie. You're a warrior, faithful, and a servant. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It was nice to see J.D. Vance and his wife flew out there to fly the body from Utah to Scottsdale, Arizona, or to Phoenix, Arizona. Scottsdale is where Charlie lived. And the air traffic controllers paying homage to Charlie, welcoming him home, wishing him a good final resting place. The shooter was texting somebody to pick up the gun on Discord. Where is that information now that he does not act alone? Casino Dot, we spoke about that a little bit earlier on. They went to go visit this room. I think it was his roommate at the tech school, the electrical tech school, excuse me. And he showed him all these messages. So there you go again. You have a good Samaritan, a good citizen who's helping these people do their jobs. I don't think he did it alone. Time will tell. We'll figure it out. From all the accounts that his family came out so far and said, his grandmother came out and said she doesn't think he's ever held a gun in his life before. I don't want to go run wild on conspiracies. And, I've waited and waited before. I mean, there was a lot of conspiracies about who the shooter was. I mean, an older guy was arrested, and then they said it was a transgender. And out of respect for Charlie, the family, and the process of law and order, I laid back on that to let the process play out until we had a firm answer on what happened. If he wasn't a lone wolf, we'll find out, I think, probably sooner or later. His own dad turned him in. Yep, thank God for him. I saw a press conference today with the Utah governor along with Kash Patel. Both spoke. Yeah, we were talking about Paul Girl about last night. Both of them on the podium. Over on Facebook, the left media including social, is responsible for this evil destruction of two families. Look at the posts, the comments, visuals, the violence, the evil, including their voters who have blood on their hands. Daryl, that brings out a really good point that I wanted to get to tonight. And I don't know the right way to say this because I don't want it to come off as wrong. But we saw some of the worst and some of the best come out of people over this last 3 days since this tragedy. People that I never expected would open their mouths to come out to support someone like Charlie, a conservative activist. The New York Yankees. I mean, professional sports teams across the board, professional athletes across the board coming out and supporting this man But we also, on the other hand, we saw some of the worst people, and they showed who they really are. We watched the scumbags, the evil, malicious, malign scumbags on TMZ cheering and clapping as the news broke that Charlie had passed away. Tried to change the story. And Harvey or Harley Levin, whatever his name is, should be ashamed of himself for trying to cover up for those people. Absolutely disgusting. They allege that they were cheering because of a car chase in California, and they just caught the guy. An absolute disgrace. You had the scumbag over on MSNBC. You've had news anchors across the board pretty much saying that Charlie had this coming to him. Politicians making it about gun control. So, to the credit of some of these people, a lot of them fired immediately, gone. And I think that's an important point for people to start to heal, for repercussions to start happening. I'm all for freedom of speech. But when there's a difference between freedom of speech and when you work for a private company and you come out and you say and do things like that. I also believe in karma. And I think karma gets every single scumbag. And I don't mean to use the vulgar language. I try not to. But this enrages me. That anyone, because I know every single one of you guys out there listening to me has a great deal of integrity. If you've followed this show for this long, if you've joined Lou Dobbs for the years that he was on television, I know each and every one of you out there have a great deal of integrity. And I don't think there's any one of you, the thousands and tens of thousands of you that are out there listening to me, would cheer, would be happy if Harry Sisson got shot in his head. If one of these radical lunatics got shot. I know I wouldn't be. And I know probably almost every single one of you out there would not be. Because we're human beings. But these people out there cheering and happy and saying he had it coming to him, there's a special place in hell for you. And when Judgment Day comes for you, I don't mean to get deep on this, but it really hurts my soul. When Judgment Day comes and it's your day to meet the Lord and Savior, he's going to send you, I think, to the appropriate place. God doesn't like ugly. And that's just malicious disgust. There's no need for it. You could dislike somebody. You could have disagreements with somebody. But death, I think that's probably where you should draw the line if you're a person with a soul, a person with a heart. Let's see. Let's get back to some of these questions here. Cash spoke for about 3 minutes. The governor spoke for about 35. Yeah, as I said, I think the governor has been doing an absolute terrific job. Kelly Song, Right Side Broadcast is going live at 8 p.m. at Auburn, Turning Point USA chapter to hold the prayer vigil. That's awesome. Need to check the schools he went to, what they were teaching. Is it more schools or more online? You know, I want to take a quick break here because I want to do a little deep dive into this because we have some of his academic records. And I think it paints a picture that you wouldn't expect it to come from this guy, this person. We're going to take a quick break here, folks. On the other side, we're going to dig a little bit deeper into this. We've also got some other news to get to. Please stay with us, folks. We're coming right back on the Great America Show. Just one moment. I promise we'll be right back.
Just like all of you, I had problems sleeping. I had tried every pillow out there and nothing worked. I'd flip-flop all night, use my arm for support, and it'd fall asleep, or I'd wake up with a sore neck or maybe a headache. Well, quality sleep comes from keeping your neck straight at night. You have to fill in that space between your head and your bed. That's why I invented MyPillow. MyPillow's patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs, and it doesn't matter if you sleep on your back, stomach, side, or any combination of all three.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get Classic King My Pillows for only $19.98. Queen size just $18.98. Standard Classic My Pillows only $14.98. That's right, only $14.98. Plus all orders $75 or more ship absolutely free.
Thanks everybody for staying with us on this special Friday episode of the Great America Show live from New York tonight. Want to get to a few more of your questions before we go a little bit further into this thing. Like I said, I always appreciate you guys joining us live when we do a live show. So I like to give back to you guys and get to some of your questions if we can. Fascism was engraved into the bullets. That's the word only used by the left. This is their fault. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Tina over on Facebook. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. These are the people who have perpetrated hate and lies on MAGA and the conservative base for the last 10 years. The lives ruined on January 6th. The attack after school shooting, fueled by their hatred of MAGA, of Donald Trump. It's clear if this assassination didn't make it any more clear. It's clear these people mean to destroy America. It's clear they mean to be deceitful to our children. I don't know how we get out of this. I don't know how we hold these people accountable. Do you pull their broadcasting licenses? I mean, what do you do? If people are still tuning into this stuff, what do you do? And I wish I had an answer for you. I don't know everything. I don't know most things. What I do know, I come and tell you what I know. What do we do to stop these people? I don't know. I really, really don't. Finbar over on YouTube. We are never given the truth. Is this guy really the shooter? Something seems off to me. I don't want to go down any conspiracies out of respect. I don't know. I mean, I like to believe the government tells us the truth. I don't know. The father is the reason this man was caught. Yes, I mean, great on him for doing so. There's a hole in the heart of MAGA. I think there's a hole in the heart of each and every American who has a heart. Lindy, where did he get the gun? They haven't released any of that yet, but it was one of my questions that I was wondering if the gun was bought by him or if it was bought by a family member or whatever. I mean, at 22 years old, he would have been able to buy the gun himself. TMZ is horrible. I couldn't agree with you more. Supposedly stashed the gun over the road, but when he jumped down off the roof, it didn't have weapons. Yeah, I did find that very odd, Finbar. We saw the surveillance video of this guy walking down steps, clearly with the gun wedged down his pants because he was limping on one foot. But then when he got off the roof, he didn't have a gun in his hand and he had jumped down. I don't think he would have jumped down with it in his pants. I noticed that same thing that I thought was very odd. If anybody else saw anything different, let us know. I found that very, very interesting that we watched this man limp down the street with a gun in his pants and then seemingly jumped off a roof and was, completely fine. Very, very good point. Very good question. If anyone knows the answer to it, let us know. Just seems like this kid is a patsy. There are other rabbit holes to go down, so I'm not buying it just yet. Yeah, I love the My Pillow guy. Mike Lindell's a great American. Truly a great American. Sorry, I'm trying to get through your comments here before we move on. Parents need to talk to their children to see if they have any compassion or humanity for others. Something is seriously wrong when so many people have been disconnected from each other. You're absolutely right, Lynn. The parental unit, family unit in America is clearly gone downhill. I mean, for some time now. Parents, to me, growing up, if I had something wrong with me, if there was something that upset me that day, if there was something that angered me, my parents knew about it right away. As I'm sure most of you guys out there who have kids or were a kid at some point knew about yourself or your kids. But that seems like it's gone out the window here in America. Most cannot define fascism. You're absolutely correct. It's the same way racism. It's the same reason, same as misogynist. The liberals throw out these words they do not know the meanings to. They've done it for 10 years, which is why these words have no meaning anymore. Lefties are in a brainwashed cult and they think the same about us. Where do we go from here? It's a question I ask myself every day. I don't know. I don't know where we go from here 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, or even a year down the road. It seems things are only getting worse. People are getting even crazier than they were before. I think the COVID lockdowns probably had a huge part to play in it. But it seems to me things are only getting worse. People are getting more mentally deranged. As I mentioned, these online forums have been a huge breeding place for these psychopaths to go and spread their hatred, to be brainwashed. Very, very sad. I want to go talk about something a little bit about this psychopath killer that has been boggling my mind, that I can't seem to get my head around. Very surprising to me, which goes to my point about how he got to doing what he did. Alleged Charlie Kirk Assassin Tyler Robinson's stellar ACT scores revealed, posted by a proud mother on Facebook before the tragedy. So I guess his mother was very active on Facebook, posted his ACT scores. Now, like me, I'm sure a lot of you guys out there haven't taken an ACT or an SAT in a very long time, but his scores were extremely impressive, which is why I said I'm not paying homage to this kid in any way. But a person with a brain like this, to do what he did, had to be provoked by somebody. It didn't seem like it was his parents. Some of the messages his mother had posted on her Facebook account. Had back-to-back school dates with number 2 with this man-child of mine and didn't get a single picture. This was a rough one since it's his senior year. We met his guidance counselors and started talking college courses. This boy is a genius, and I'm hoping he'll pick up a Utah college and stay close to his mama. He killed the ACT and has a score of 4.0. So many options are endless. Seems like a mother who loves her son, as I'm sure most mothers do. First day of school for my Tyler. Senior year is going to be busy for this boy. 4 college classes. So this semester is on top of my 4 high school classes, including AP Calculus. My brain hurts for him, and he's so excited. Another Facebook post from his mother. Tyler and I went up to tour Utah State University and looked at his housing options. It was great to get to see get to have some one-on-one time with this boy, plus Aggie ice cream. I didn't know there was a thing, but this is great. As you can see, photos there with his mother. Like he had a excellent relationship with her. Here's a breakdown of some of his testing scores, which I think are just very surprising for what this man did. Diving deeper into the sub-scores, Robson's math performance was particularly strong in areas like preparing for higher math, 92%, algebra 98%, functions 100%, geometry 75%, statistics and probability 100%, integrating essential skills 96%, modeling 95%. In science, he scored 89%, and so on and so forth. He scored a 34 out of a 36 on the ACT, which is extremely, extremely hard to do. So you've got this guy with this background, a smart guy, clearly, a man whose mother loved him, it seems, based on her Facebook posts. So what drove him to do what he did? What drove him to have such hatred in his blood that he felt the need to shoot this man in his neck and kill him? You know, it's the question I ask myself. What made him do what he did? And I think it's an important question. Because if we could get to the bottom of that, which is why I say it's particularly good that these scumbags are brought in alive, that hopefully maybe they talk so that somebody can analyze their brains. I think it's important to get to the bottom of it, to see how this stuff can be prevented. Now, the left will tell you it's gun violence and that it's gun control. I hate to break it to you guys, but gun control only takes guns out of the hands of good people. The bad guys are always going to find a way to get a gun or to get a weapon. I mean, we watched what happened in Charlotte last month. That scumbag who stabbed that poor Ukrainian refugee in her neck. Take the guns. Go ahead. And then what happens? Then what? Machetes, cars. You see attacks over in England. These guys use cars and they run over mass amounts of people. But it's always for the Democrats, for the liberals, for the left. It's always, doesn't matter what it is. Take the guns. Take the guns. You didn't hear them when we had the video of the scumbag stabbing her in the neck. Whatever object he used, whether it was a knife or it looked like some sort of pointy object, ban pens or ban knives. Because it's not the knife that killed the woman, per se. It's the person that did it. It's the action that did it. It's the mental instability going through that person's head at that moment that did it. The gun is just the object used to do it. The knife is just the object used to do it. If someone wants to kill somebody, they're going to find a will or a way, gun or no gun. They'll take a machete. They'll take a kitchen knife. Whatever they have to do, they'll wait for you to walk out of your building and they'll run you over. If someone has that much hate and malice in their blood that they can kill somebody, they're going to find a way to do it with a gun or without a gun. And I hate to break it to you. And you could take all the guns you want. Now you've got people producing illegal ghost guns on 3D printers. Shinzo Abe was murdered, assassinated in Japan with a ghost gun. So the liberals' plans of taking guns out of the hands of you and I and law-abiding citizens, first of all, it'll never happen. So it's just this stupid talking point of the left. As a matter of fact, more states now are moving further towards allowing more guns in more places. And by the way, the school, it was shot at a gun-free zone. So the gun-free zone on the college campuses, it didn't stop this scumbag from climbing up on a roof. You think he read the sign and said, oh, it's a gun-free campus. I'm not going to take this gun on the roof. I'm not going to climb up to a roof and I'm not going to assassinate somebody. You think he read the signs to not bring a gun on campus? I hate to break it to you, but the criminals don't follow laws. The faster the Democrats get that through their brain-dead minds, America will be better off. It'll allow people to move past and to move forward with things. But the constant gun control, it's getting old. It's getting boring. The people commit the crimes. The guns do not. They will find a way to do it one way or another. Let's get to a few more of your questions here, folks, before we wrap up. And I appreciate you tuning into us. If you're joining us on Rumble, please be sure to hit that like button. If you're joining us on YouTube, please be sure to like and subscribe. We're trying to grow our YouTube channel to get a bigger audience over there. And boy, is it hard. I guess YouTube doesn't want us to be seen. I constantly get messages. Why don't you have more viewers on YouTube? I don't know. But if you're joining us, please, on YouTube, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share each episode. Any help we can get over there, we truly appreciate it. On Rumble, please be sure to hit that like, subscribe, thumbs up. To our super subscribers who donate each and every month, thank you so much. We truly appreciate you guys, as always. Let's get a few more of your questions here. Melly over on YouTube. I agree with others in the chat. Story seems fishy. I don't know. Seems like something far bigger than just some young man. I'm going to, like I said, reserve thoughts on that out of respect for Charlie and his family when the news comes out or, anything comes out. We call it out for what it is. As Finbar had said in the chat, this man getting off the roof with no gun seemed to be sort of suspicious, in my opinion. Massive free speech rally in London, UK tomorrow. 1 million patriots expected to attend. Yeah. If the government thinks they're going to overreach and do what they're doing over there with the censorship, I mean, you look what's happening in Nepal right now. We could do a whole show on that, on the outrage and the outroar of people in that government in Nepal. I mean, look what happened in Brazil just yesterday. Was it 27 years, Jair Bolsonaro, for trying to contest an election? They tried in COVID. They tried in the times of COVID to push the buttons of the American people and see how far they could push. And I think they came right up to the penumbra where people started to revolt a little bit. And then you saw them pulling back. You saw the Marxist M governors allowing people to start going to restaurants again. You saw the 6 foot thing start to slowly get a little bit bigger, 7 feet, 8 feet, or smaller, 5 feet, 4 feet, and back to intimacy again, where you can talk face to face with people. They told your kids they couldn't go to school. They couldn't have their friends, which earlier in the show I had laid out, I believe is a huge part of this mental health issue we're experiencing in America right now. I mean, this kid, 22 years old, back in COVID, he would have been at high school. So, 17-year-old kid, 16, 17-year-old kid in high school. Did that affect him his last years in high school? Being, locked out of having friends or this, or I think a lot of it is kids commingling in society. If you don't allow someone to integrate into society, they're going to be a total weirdo. The term incel, involuntarily celibate, is a term you hear a lot with these sick, demented shooters. By someone not integrating in society, it puts a very big gray cloud over their heads. Inanimate objects do not commit crimes. Absolutely. Let's see. Here we go. Anyone could do the same with the scope, zero it in on the gun, rest on a sandbag or something on a still target. And if it's over, I'm an old man and shake like a leaf, but I've killed a deer with a headshot at the distance many times with a 30-60 is a deadly weapon. Yeah, I don't shoot rifles. I carry handguns. I shot a shotgun one time and it hurt my shoulder too much. I'm more of a girly gun guy. Give me something that's not going to face recoil. So as soon as this happened, I called up a good friend of mine who's a gun broker, and I asked him if this was a particularly long shot, because you're hearing conflicting messages. Is it a long shot? Is it a short shot? What kind of scope is needed? Because I didn't know, and I wasn't going to come on a show and pretend like I knew. And, what was intimated by my good friend, who is a massive international arms dealer, said that with the dialed in scope, it was a very easy shot. Now, I don't know. I was told the shot was taken standing up, which I'm told is a far harder shot than laying down, obviously. But I'm not sure. If anyone knows if the shot was taken standing up or sitting down or laying down, I don't know that. And they haven't released that information yet, but I think that changes a lot. A skilled shooter, I guess, would be able to stand up shooting. A not so skilled shooter would probably take the shot laying down. I think that would shed some light on what this guy knows and what this guy, has done. Melly over on YouTube. I love you, John. I love you too. Thank you so much for tuning in. I always appreciate you guys. Let's see. I never wore a mask and I never took the poison. I think a lot of us did. A lot of us didn't. Let's see. That's a long one. I honestly feel sorry for his parents. I'm sure that young kid was brainwashed by the media and others out there. He was barely born from when Trump was running, and all I heard was how bad he was. Sadly, I think we have many more youth out there with the same mindset. What a sad generation we've raised to be swayed easily to evil. I'm sure his parents raised him well, but you can't control everything our kids decide to do. Josie on Facebook, you're absolutely right. Those of you who joined us the other day when I was on the live stream with Mark Mitchell of Rasmussen, when I was a kid, when I was younger, and you had a bad day, you came home and you vented about it. You said a few curse words and you moved on, and you went back to school the next day and life was normal again. Or you had a fight with somebody. You get on the playground and you beat the living daylights out of somebody, and the fight was over, and you guys are probably friends the next day. I mean, it was a normal part. For some of you guys that probably think I'm crazy, but it was a normal part of us growing up. Arguing, fighting, and getting over it. But I feel like kids these days now have become so wrapped in bubble wrap that everyone is just so sensitive to everything. You crack a joke on somebody, you laugh at somebody, and the passive aggressiveness kicks in, and you go home and you've got to worry about if you've just created a terrorist. Times have greatly changed back to what it used to be. I don't know how we get back to that society. We all grew up and we all got spanked by our parents. But it made us who we are today. And, you didn't like it at the time, but you grow up and you say, you know what? I was a bad kid. I did something wrong. I deserved it. Now forget it. If you want to spank your kid on the rear end, you're a criminal now. I think it's the way kids are, and I'm not, advocating to beat your children. I'm sure there are people out there who think that's what I'm doing, but I think it's just the way that kids are being raised these days. They're not being raised to show respect. I go out these days and, I'll hear a kid cursing at their parents. I'll never, 5, 6, 7, 10-year-old kids. I was in a grocery store the other day, and a kid wanted the parent to buy him soda or something, and the parent said no, and the kid looked at the parent, a young kid, and said, I hate you. If I ever said something like that to one of my parents, if we were out to dinner, I got the look, and I knew when I got home, it wasn't going to be good. There was a wooden spoon with my name on it. And I think we've just, veered away from family values in this country and respect. Nobody respects anybody anymore. Nobody. It's truly sad. It's truly, truly sad the way that America has turned. And, I don't know how we save ourselves, but I pray and hope that we do before it's too late. This path that we're on right now, and I don't mean to rant, but this path we're on right now is not good. It's really not good. Children are bottling up their anger and taking it out totally wrong ways. This transgender issue is running rampant. Kids are being brainwashed. We're just on a very, very bad trajectory. And I don't know how we save ourselves from it. I don't know how we get off of it. But I pray to God we get off of it sometime soon. I don't know the answer. I don't think Donald Trump knows the answer. I don't think anyone really knows the answer and how to correct this thing. But the path we're on is a path for self-destruction and self-implosion. Donald Trump was asked earlier this morning, Vol Girl said a wooden spoon or a belt. Yeah, it was whatever one that you could get your hands on. And that's what you were faced with. It's what made us who we are. Our parents didn't hit us because they hated us. It was because they wanted to teach us a lesson. And, I happened to never learn the lesson. I'm sure a lot of people learned the lesson. I never really learned the lesson. But Donald Trump was on Fox and Friends early this morning, and he was asked about the radical right and left. Now, go figure, Fox News, they had to get in their scripts the radical right? Because you don't want to offend the left, which is really where the radicalness is. This is really where the radicals are made. It's on the left. They're the ones who are shooting up these schools. They're the ones who are shooting at people. They're the ones who are locking January 6th political prisoners in gulags. So he was asked about it. And to President Trump's credit, he's a great American, and he stands up for his people. Take a listen to what he had to say.
Radicals on the right as well. We have radicals on the left. People are watching all of these videos and cheering. Some people are cheering that Charlie was killed. How do we fix this country? How do we come back together?
I'll tell you something that's going to get me in trouble, but I couldn't care less. The radicals on the right oftentimes are radical because they don't want to see crime. They don't want to see crime.
Worried about the border.
They're saying, we don't want these people coming in. We don't want you burning our shopping centers. We don't want you shooting our people in the middle of the street. The radicals on the left are the problem. And they're vicious, and they're horrible, and they're politically savvy. Although they want men and women sports, they want transgender for everyone, they want open borders. The worst thing that happened.
That's the radical right versus the radical left, as President Trump says. I think he's absolutely correct. Are two different things. The radical right, they want our borders secured. They want free and fair elections. That's radical to the Democrats. That's radical to them. I mean, it's. I'm just at a loss of words as we do this episode here, going on an hour. I didn't intend to. I appreciate all you guys who have hung on with us here through the show, but this whole situation has really upset my stomach over the last few days. Just reflecting on everything, and a lot of great people out there. As I said, this situation, this assassination, brought out the best in some people. And by that, I mean the patriots who, stood up for this guy, stood up for this patriot. The money donations, the millions of dollars raised for him and his family so far. I think over $3 million, as I saw before we started this show tonight. So many patriots who are, speaking out. Professional athletes, Lamar Jackson, Harrison Butker, Jackson Dart, the Chicago Cubs this afternoon, the New York Yankees the night it happened, the Green Bay Packers yesterday. A lot of them didn't know this kid. A kid, I say kid, he's my age, Charlie Kirk. A lot of them didn't know him, but they know the difference between right and wrong, which I think is very important, which a lot of people I think have lost. What's right and what's wrong. It's one of the fundamental things we're taught as a kid. Don't touch the hot stove. You're going to get burned. And you learn. But the way kids are being brought up now, I don't think they're learning. And it's sad. And I really pray that we have some sort of correction and some sort of, no pun intended, turning point. Because I think it's needed. And I think it's necessary for this country to start healing, for people to start being better people, all of us. We could all, be better people at something, including myself. It's, I guess, the human in us. Speaking of bad people, before we wrap up, I want to get to someone who I've been talking about a lot lately, and I get some blowback for talking about this guy on the show. But I call it how it is. And you either love me or you hate me for it. But Thomas Massie has been pissing a lot of people off lately. He claims to be the most conservative member of Congress, holier than thou. He's conservative as can be. Massie says Trump, among others, that need to tone down the rhetoric. Well, why don't you just blame him flat out, Thomas Massie, for the assassination on Charlie Kirk? You idiot. I mean, there's no nice way to put it. This man is an absolute idiot. This is the same man crying about America blowing up a vessel. This is the same man that the day after Charlie Kirk died, he's out there doing procedural motions with the Democrats to the Epstein files. I'm not saying not release the Epstein files. Absolutely. I say it every day. I don't think I have to say it anymore. We want it all out. But this is a man who uses Charlie Kirk's assassination to talk about the Epstein files. I think it shows you who Thomas Massie is. Now, he's got a lot of people fooled. He's the most conservative member of Congress, he wants to tell you. He doesn't vote for continuing resolutions. He's smart. He wears a little thing on his suit jacket that shows the national debt. He's got everybody fooled. Hell, he had me fooled for a little bit. The most conservative member in Congress, he wants us to believe. Doesn't mean you're a good person. Really doesn't. Quote, and this is from Thomas Massey. Let's see if we can X this out here so you could all read along if you'd like to. I mean, there is a lot of rhetoric, and the president himself engages in it. Called it a hostile act to co-sponsor the Epstein resolution, said Massey, who's a leading voice in pushing a motion to force the release of the Epstein files related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. I think that's ridiculous rhetoric. It's amusing, he added. It doesn't offend me that he's over the top with the rhetoric, but some other people take it literally. He should probably tone that down himself. In response to Massey often has been at odds with his party, refusing to back President Trump and the GOP priorities that would raise the debt limit, including Trump's big, beautiful bill. In response, Trump said Massey was not MAGA and has encouraged someone to primary him. Quote, Thomas Massey, the worst Republican congressman, and almost guaranteed no vote on each and every time, is an embarrassment to Kentucky. He's lazy, slow-moving, and totally disingenuous. A real loser. He added he never has anything positive to add. Looking for someone good to run against this guy, someone I can endorse and vigorously campaign for. I hope to God they get this guy out of there. This is the day Charlie was assassinated. That's what Massey took his time to come out and talk about. I mean, he's just as deranged. I mean, Trump deranged like there's no tomorrow. And he gets stuck on these stupid things that people flock to him for, like his anti-Israel views. I'm America first. I'm all for America first. I want America first before anything. And I sat here and called out Mike Johnson bringing a Republican delegation in the middle of the summer of 30 Republican congressmen to Israel when we have our own problems here at home. I come out here and talk about AIPAC being the biggest donor in American politics, like $130 million, second to Japan, a Japanese PAC that spent like $2 million. But this man has used it and found ways to exploit it. And people jump on his bandwagon because he's so anti-Israel. And the people who hate the Jews and hate Israel find a way to jump on this man's bandwagon. He exploits people at a certain topic and then just continues to exploit and continues to exploit and continues to exploit. And he's got a lot of people fooled. He's got a lot of people fooled. But that's why I'm out here. That's why I do a show, to let you guys know the truth and give you my opinion on some things. And you don't have to take it. Some of you guys, don't take it. Some of you guys give me a lot of blowback for it, and that's fine. That's the normal part of having a conversation. That's what Charlie Kirk tried to do and did very successfully. It's normal to have disagreements. If you agree with somebody 100% of the time, there's a problem there. You shouldn't agree with someone 100% of the time. And President Trump's not asking for that. He's got plenty of people who have disagreed with him on big issues, and they move on. We're not asking for that. But when you've got a guy like Massey, who grandstands on just about everything, just everything he could possibly grandstand on, he does. And takes credit for everything. And I hope they have someone in Kentucky ready to run against this guy. Because he's got to go. He wants to be an alpha, and he's not an alpha. I hate to break it to you, Thomas. You're just not. You're really not. Let's get to a few more of your questions. My gosh, Massey really pissed me off when he said that about President Trump. Yeah, the guy's a clown. I mean, he's truly a clown. They hide behind this libertarian thing, and they sell that they're, like I said, it's more conservative than the next guy who's the most conservative. The whole thing is just a massive grift. Just an absolute massive grift. Nick 402K, the scumbag will get the death penalty. If not for state charges, then federally for sure. Yeah, I don't think anyone's holding back on him. And I'm all for that. The most painful way possible to send this guy to hell. It's where he belongs. I mean, absolutely disgusting and reprehensive and repulsive what he did. He's got to go. The DA will consult with Charlie's family to determine their wishes. I don't know what that's in. He was too cowardly to kill himself, but he will die regardless. Yeah, he's going to die in jail, or he's going to die the chair or whatever way they decide to, because he's got to go. Before we wrap up, I want to get to President Trump. Another point he made earlier this morning on Fox and Friends about possibly looking into RICO charges with some of these DAs and some of these rogue judges who have been allowing criminals out on the street, giving lenient sentences, no bail, whatever it may be. And he mentions the name George Soros. Take a listen.
But they have professional agitators. Mm-hmm. They're professional. They're paid. I had one the other night. I went into a restaurant and this woman stood up. I looked at her immediately. She had money. She wasn't serious. They get paid for it. They're professional, from Soros and other people. And we're going to look into Soros because I think it's a RICO case against him and other people. Because this is more than like protests. This is real agitation. This is riots on the street. And we're going to look into it.
RICO. That's what they decided they were going to go after President Trump on. You remember in Georgia, Fani Willis? They were going to get Trump on RICO charges. But maybe it's time to look into some of these people. President Trump also announcing the next city that the National Guard's coming to visit. And no, it's not Chicago, and no, it's not L.A.
We're going to Memphis. Memphis that's the next city. Deeply troubled. And the mayor is happy. He's a Democrat mayor. The mayor is happy. And the governor, Tennessee, the governor is happy. Deeply troubled. We're going to fix that just like we did Washington. I would have preferred going to Chicago.
And I think Chicago he's going to go into. Not a good place. Some of the crime stats over the past 5 years from 2019 to 2024, Memphis recorded 185,000 violent crimes and 210,000, almost 211,000 property crimes. The average violent crime rate stands at about 494 per 100,000 residents, which is 365% above the national average. Property crime averages from 655 per 100,000, which is 300% above the national average. Imagine that. Cleaning up blue cities one by one, folks. One by one. Folks, as I mentioned, we were live tonight, and we appreciate all you guys joining us. As we always appreciate you guys joining us here on The Great America Show. If you're joining us on Rumble, please be sure to hit that thumbs up. If you're joining us on audio, thank you so much for joining us on audio. And if you're joining us on YouTube, please be sure to like, subscribe, follow, share. We're trying to grow up our YouTube. If you're following us on Rumble, please go over to YouTube and follow us over there as well at The Great America Show. At The Great America Show. If you're joining us on YouTube, on Facebook rather, please head over to there. We're not going to be streaming much longer on our Facebook page over here. So either follow us on Rumble or on YouTube if you can, at The Great America Show on both of them. We truly appreciate it. That's all for us tonight, folks. I hope you all had a great weekend. You have a great weekend, and I hope you all enjoyed this show. We'll see you back here Monday for The Great America Show. There's so much more to talk about. We're not going to let off of this. It's sad. It's sad. And I think, as I've intimated, I think the country's going down a path that we need to save ourselves from. So that's all for us tonight, folks. Thank you so much for spending part of your Friday night with us again. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate all of you joining us each and every day on The Great America Show. We'll see you back here Monday. The quest for truth, justice, and the American way is just beginning. Tell your loved ones you love them, and pray. Pray for this country. We'll see you back here Monday, folks. Until then, may God bless you. May God bless America. And may God bless the great Lou Dobbs. Tell your friends, your family, tell them all you love them. You never know what tomorrow holds. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you Monday. God bless you all.